So got these emblems on, it went pretty smoothly and liking the way they turned out. So the next thing we're going to work on is putting these over fenders on, or fender flares. I've gotten a lot of questions on these, and so I'll just answer it again. These are like the cheapest eBay over fenders you could buy back when I bought these like 4 or 5 years ago. And back when I bought them, they sold them in a larger flare for the rear and a smaller one for the front. So I ended up buying 2 sets and using the large ones all around the car. So that's just answering that question again. They're just the cheap eBay ones, and I'm pretty sure they still sell them if you just type Datsun fender flares. And as you can see, I didn't cut my wheel arches. The ride height and the tire combination and just the way I mounted these turned out I didn't really need to cut my wheel arches because I'm not going to be hitting. So it just worked out that I didn't need to, and you know, I achieved the look that I was going for without doing that. And so, you know, if you need to cut your wheel arches, by all means, go ahead. Maybe you're going to ride lower than me, but just in my situation, I didn't need to. And hey, if I don't have to cut pieces of the car off that I don't need to, then that's a good option that I don't. Now, having said that, I did end up cutting my right front. Looking back, I wish I didn't end up doing that because I didn't need to, but that was just part of the learning process and working on the car and just figuring out ride heights and everything. So So as you saw yesterday evening, I was epoxying a bolt to these hood louvers. One of them had snapped off on each louver, so that epoxy has dried. I'm hoping that it's going to be strong enough. I'm not going to tighten it down too hard, but I tried bolting it to the car without a bolt there, and it did kind of vibrate and rattle. So I just don't want it to be rattling. So I did put a bolt there, and I'm going to put a nut on it, and hopefully it doesn't pull off. Hopefully the epoxy's strong enough. Next thing on the agenda is to get the wiper arms and blades installed. So we've got the left and right side. I've got these little rubber boots to put on. And just a little tip, right here on the inside, right there, there's 55 and L, and then there's on this other one, there's a 55 and R. So these are 2 different sizes, and they have to go on the appropriate side. So just a little tip. So another thing I've been working on is a hood prop rod, and this is the one I bought, and it was factory for the 280Z. They sit right there in the front, but no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to work right with my car/hood. No matter how high I lifted the hood, this thing, when you would bring it over, it would hit the hood, and I could never get it over to that point. I even tried shortening it and welding it, but then it still didn't really line up, and then I had to bend it some, and then that angle was just kind of scary from over there to there, and I just felt like maybe if a big gust of wind was going to push the hood down, it might just give away. So you can kind of see what I've already built, and this is my solution. It's a pretty temporary solution. It could become long term, but I just used existing bolt holes that were in the car, had a little bracket, and made like a little box, welded it together, and then used another prop rod that I had, and it's just in there, just the force is pushing back, and then it's connected there. So unfortunately it's not something that I can like lift out and then lay down and let it snap somewhere. Maybe I can come up with something, but this is something that I'll have to like lift the hood up and then, you know, take it out, put it in the car, or, you know, get it out of the car and bring it up to the hood and use it. So it's kind of a short term. I'd like it to be, I wish it was factory. Maybe I can just clip it up there and it can stay in the engine bay. But that's what I came up with, just a little prop rod, and it's better than the plastic piece I had going from the latch stuff. So got that done, and now I just need to paint it, and that'll be ready to fully install. Well, now that we got the car in the sun, we can get a closer look at the spoiler. So there it is, fully installed. I spent so much time making sure those gaps were pretty good. They're not perfect, but they're pretty good. So I'm happy with the way that turned out. Well, we were making great progress on the Z, but we've had to take a couple steps back. Last night we took it for a test drive just because we really wanted to. We haven't driven it so long. I didn't get any footage of that, but we will be taking it on another one, and I'll have some footage of that at the end. But what happened was when we came back from our little drive, it wasn't very long, like 10 minutes just to go get gas, and pulled the car in the garage, opened the door, walked around it, everything looked good. Went to close my door and I heard like a squeaking noise or a rubbing noise. You probably already know where I'm going with this. Well, something happened and the fender must have shifted back. Potentially the door moved forward, I don't know. But we've got contact with the door and the fender, and it did damage the paint and the door. So that's really unfortunate. I'm pretty upset about that, but at the same time, I'm also taking it fairly well. You know, there could be so many other things that are going totally wrong, and that's the perspective I'm looking at it. I'm just gonna get the fender moved forward, touch up if the paint chips off or whatever. I've got some touch-up paint. I'm going to touch it up, and we're going to keep chugging along. So I've got all the bolts loosened. We're going to shift the fender forward some and keep going about our business. It's just kind of crazy. I've shut this door hundreds of times, but something about the drive, it shifted and it happened. So keep moving. Well, the back was much tougher than the front. Had a lot of trouble in these corners. This corner took the longest, but once we found a technique that worked, this side didn't go too bad. What we did though was we got it pushed in on the inside groove. On this side, we pushed it in and we put the rope on the outside groove because when we did it vice versa, we just could not get it at all. So that's what we found that helped. And then having a very small pry tool to kind of get in there and pull it up whenever the rope doesn't do the job, that is pretty necessary. And lastly, we've just got to glue, put a little dab of adhesive on the trim pieces and then get these pushed in. But otherwise, the trim is in and it's looking pretty good. I've got some places to touch up black paint, but otherwise, success. Made it back. Everything went pretty good. We've definitely got some things to work out as far as the drivetrain goes. We've got a lot of rattles and vibrations that now that I've got like all of the glass and the windows rolled up, I can hear them now because I don't have just all wind noise in the cabin. So we've still got work to do, but everything is good. We are ready for the car show tomorrow. Check out what we picked up though from Amazon. We got this organizer tote, and this can break down into smaller sections and you can move these dividers around, and this is really nice for the car show. We also picked up a cooler to fit in that spot, so we'll have our cold snacks, as Vice would say. And yeah, that works pretty good, so we're ready. Thanks for watching.